저장 것 같아.
Welcome to Sex at 10. I'm Rebecca Rosenblat, certified relationship and sexuality therapist and your host, here to answer your questions on all things intimate. Whether you're stuck in a relationship dilemma, have issues with your body, trust, trauma, addiction, or orientation, or just need a little help with turning up the heat in your bedroom, give us a shout at 1-800-968-7836 and let's chat. Everything's fair game. If you've thought about it, we can talk about it. Let's begin with the discussion on successfully negotiating various relationship stages. And to help me with that, we're being joined via phone by a world-class relationship expert, Muzik, all the way from the Caribbean. Bruce has built a reputation as the guy who relationship counselors refer their toughest clients to help fix their troubled marriages. His TED Talk has been watched more than 2 million times, and he's the founder of loveatfirstsight.com, a company dedicated to helping couples reconnect and fix their relationship troubles. So we're indeed very honored and fortunate to have him joining us tonight. Good evening, Bruce. Been waiting for this. Thank you so much.
Hey, Rebecca. It's a pleasure to be here.
Really excited about the interview tonight. Bruce, I was really touched by your TED Talk and the transparency you showed in exposing your authentic self. It truly is an act of courage and integrity to be able to inspire people like that. It also left me with a great feeling around how you really get what relationships are all about. And of course, that's an ever-evolving process in and of itself. So I was hoping that you could start off a discussion by talking about the 3 stages that all relationships go through, because a lot of people seem to look at those transitions as their partner changing versus the relationship evolving in its own organic way.
Sure, Rebecca. So in my experience, what I've noticed is that relationships generally go through 3 developmental stages. Just like as a human being, we might go from being an infant to a teenager to hopefully a wise old man or a wise old woman. So a relationship goes through these stages. You can't skip them, you can't jump them, and you can't avoid them.
Right.
And the first one is the romance stage. It's the one we love, we crave. It's the one Hollywood has touted as being the pinnacle of romantic achievement.
Right.
Yet it's the most immature form of love, Rebecca. And usually lasts, according to the researchers, anywhere between 2 weeks to 2 years. I hope yours lasts longer than 2 weeks. And it ends when one or both partners perceive permanence to the relationship. So that might be you move in together, you get engaged, whatever the case may be, have a baby together. The minute you think the relationship's permanent, you start thinking, wow, well, you know, that was all good and well, but if I'm going to be spending the rest of my life with you, something's going to have to change here, and it's not me, it is you. And welcome to stage 2, the power struggle. And if the romance stage was designed to get you to fall in love, the power struggle is designed to test your relationship and make sure that you don't lose yourself in love, that you're able to actually remain autonomous, but not so independent that you lose each other.
Right.
And this is where I would say almost every client that comes to me is stuck in the power struggle, fighting, trying to stay connected. The first thing that goes is your sex life. If you're lucky enough to make it through the power struggle, Rebecca, you end up in what I'm going to call mature love. Depending on which researchers you read, mature love can be divided into several other stages. But essentially the essence of it is you accept each other warts and all. You're teammates. You're no longer trying to change each other. You're able to be interdependent, depend on each other and be independent, support each other, and generally couples in the mature love stage go out and do some kind of project together, whether that's raising a child, starting a business, something like that.
They're focusing on something. I'm really glad you mentioned the 3 stages. Indeed, the first one, it's the bubble, and you know, we're presenting our best selves. We're not even authentic, and we started with, you know, how you were so authentic in this TED Talk. That's why I'm kind of glad that you mentioned that, and Hollywood does capitalize on that. So people think that's what it's supposed to look like. And what I find is that the people who are stuck are generally stuck in the second stage because of those power struggles. And if they can kind of weather that storm or that stormy period, if you may, they do end up getting to the mature stage. But lots of people, they think their relationship is so bad, and it's just like, you know what, you're going into attachment, you're going to get used to each other, and you're going to find your groove, you're going to find that special place. And even for problems, it's sort of like allergies or a bad back. You know they'll be there, you just learn to avoid inflammatory situations. So I'm glad that you emphasized how each of these stages stages are different, and indeed, those who stick it out and get to the maturity stage, they can create something wonderful. And it's not just sex; it's intimacy. And you're right, projects together, hobbies together, children or maybe grandchildren, but definitely maybe launching a business. Viewers, if you have any relationship struggles, tonight's a great night to call in to speak with the man that the toughest clients get referred to. So don't be shy. Grab that phone right now and call us. Bruce, how we act in a relationship is tied in a big way to our attachment styles, which developed when we were kids, long before we possibly met our partner. But most people don't get that, and they often become unglued by why their partner acts in a certain way. And some will even try to attribute it to their personality. So can you please discuss attachment styles next to shed some light on a critical part of relationship dynamics?
Okay, sure. So let me see if I can make attachment really simple. There are three basic styles. The first one they call secure. Secure people are comfortable depending on other people. They grew up in families where they learned that it was okay to reach out to another for help. The second type I'm going to call the hailstorm. Now, technically this is called the anxiously attached person. And in the power struggle, anxiously attached people, when they feel insecure in their relationship, they tend to get critical, they get demanding, they get angry, and they often can lash out like a hailstorm at their partner. Their greatest fear, Rebecca, is being abandoned. Now, the third style I call the turtle. The technical name for this is the avoidant attachment style. And turtles, like the description, retreat into their shell when they're triggered. When they hit the power struggle stage and they're in conflict with their partner, they go numb. They can't feel anything. They don't want to talk and discuss it, and they retreat into their shell. And their greatest fear is rejection. And what happens is once the turtle retreats into its shell, the hailstorm's fear of abandonment gets triggered, and the hailstorm starts hailstorming and becomes more critical, demanding, angry, which triggers the turtle's fear of rejection, which makes the turtle withdraw more, which makes the hailstorm more, and round these two go until they either end up in the divorce courts or 20 years later suffering, hating each other, sleeping in separate beds. So
a big vicious cycle is created.
Summary.
Well, very well put, and it is a really vicious cycle, particularly when those two come together. And I sometimes see people that have a little bit of blending between the two. And indeed, I like the hailstorm because that's the insecure, anxious person. And you're right, they always need reassurance, and if they don't get it, they get upset. And lots of times, you know, they push their partner and push and push and push. Do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me? And when the partner finally gets tired of it and they back off, they go, aha, I knew it. And with the turtle, you've described that really well too, because a lot of these people, they're afraid of rejection, but they're also terrified that if I put all my eggs in one basket, I could really get hurt. So they always need that little shell or that buffer, and they're not letting people get in. And the combination that you described is indeed the deadliest one. And I've seen some people who are in codependent situations where they let that dance continue forever. They feed off that dance in some ways, and particularly people who are drawn to drama. Viewers, if you're having a hard time understanding your relationship patterns, it could be tied into your attachment style. So grab that phone and get in on the discussion so we can help you clarify your confusion. Bruce, you've done a great job explaining the relationship stages that we go through and the attachment styles which impact them. So can we please move on to a discussion about some common relationship problems and how they can arise next?
Okay, so we could take 3 hours talking about relationship problems and only cover 5% of them. So I'm going to give you the big picture. The big picture, the way I see it, is that almost all relationship problems stem from the same source, and that is the loss of emotional safety between the two people in the relationship. And during the power struggle stage, it's really easy to begin relating to your partner like the enemy, not like your ally. And so your relationship starts to feel like a war zone where you're walking eggshells and landmines are going off everywhere. So, for example, if you have constant tension in your relationship and it's causing you to fight, it's probably because you don't feel safe. Your needs aren't being met. You don't feel safe opening up, being vulnerable. If your sex life has died and you're not having sex anymore, it's probably because, particularly the woman, doesn't feel safe. There's been some research that shows that women have to feel safe in order to be sexually aroused.
Right.
If you're having communication problems, it's probably because you don't feel safe. It's not because you don't know how to communicate. You both speak English. You don't need communication skills, because in the romance stage, you spoke just fine. You knew how to communicate. It's in the power struggle stage, when you're relating to your partner like the enemy and your relationship feels like a war zone, that you start communicating like you would in a war zone, yelling at each other. So the trick here is restoring emotional safety.
Very well put. It is, at the end of the day, about making each other feel safe enough to be our authentic selves, to be able to speak, to be able to be intimate. And it plays out so well. Sometimes, you know, an adult will say that he or she has no problem connecting with the kids and being affectionate with them, give them hugs and kisses and chatting with them, laughing with them. They just stop when they come to us. And I say, do they feel safe enough to be themselves? Because with their children, they feel safe enough. They're not worried about criticism. They're just laughing. They're playing their authentic selves. And that's sort of an aha moment a lot of times for the partners when they realize that, yes, it's the dynamic. It's not that my partner doesn't know. And like you said, that, you know, when they were being romantic initially, and I also like the fact that you mentioned that, you know, both sides were looking for that connection. But unfortunately, we go about it in a way, we get into what Sue Johnson calls the negative dances, and we end up separating. So, I mean, I couldn't have put it better myself. You brought it down to one simple but very key issue about making each other feel safe enough to feel at home, essentially. Viewers, any relationship or intimacy issues, call us right away. Everything's on the table, so take advantage of speaking with the experts. Bruce, you've highlighted some common problems and how they arise. Let's move on to fixing those struggles within our relationships, since you're the guy who fixes all those difficult situations that even some therapists give up on.
Okay, great. So, again, I'm going to give you one laser piece, and this is the biggest breakthrough I had. And it's 4 words, and it's these 4 words. Connect first, communicate later. When you connect first, you can resolve your differences by communicating. Mistake most people make when they're in conflict in the power struggle stage is they start communicating not feeling connected. And without feeling connected, the communication comes out aggressively, dangerously, in a way that creates unsafety. So the work that I do with my clients is I focus entirely for our first couple of sessions on connecting. How can we get connected, reconnect, stay connected, so they start to feel like best friends again. Once they feel like best friends, then we start talking. And once we start talking, it's easy once you feel like friends again. Now, some people might say, how can I feel like friends unless we resolve our issues? You don't need to. A hug can make you feel close. Gazing into each other's eyes for 2 minutes can make you feel close. A little bit of appreciation can make you feel close. So connect first, communicate later.
That's brilliant, because without the connection, it goes back to not feeling safe enough to communicate, to say what you want to say, or hear for that matter, because lots of times when people are talking, supposedly communicating, things are escalating because instead of listening to their partner, they're thinking of rebutting. So they're not even paying attention. And the 4 dangerous horsemen, being critical, defensive, stonewalling, contempt, all of that stuff comes up. So it's really so simple yet so elegant that you have them connect first. And when they're connected, that's where the safety lies, and that's where the communication can be absolutely beautiful. Viewers, if you need any guidance whatsoever with your relationship struggles, please call in right away to speak with a world-class expert in the area who's tackled many, many difficult coupleships. And of course, as always, I'm here to answer any relationship or sexuality questions that you might have, whether or not they're topic related. But if you wish to speak with Bruce, better call in right away so we can get you on air. Bruce, I want to ask you, how can people in our audience connect with you across the mile to work with you on their relationships, and what would that look like? We are going to break. Can you just stick around for a little bit?
Sure.
Because I want you to be able to tell us what that looks like and how they can get in touch with you, because you do such amazing work and it's just so elegant. I love the way you've crystallized everything into just a few words. We'll be right back. Keep your calls coming and let's discuss sex, relationships, romance, or whatever else rocks your boat. And keep it locked on Rogers TV, because we have lots more great stuff still ahead, including your calls. So pick up that phone and call so we can connect.